got 12 for the, 48, 15 for 60, and 25 for 20.
Perfect, yeah. So 15 for 60 and then 5 for 20, yeah. So what we can see here is that all three of them have
12, 15.
Okay, so what we need to, so we've done our numbers, but now we need to make sure we've got our letters correct as well. So have a look at the letters now. So we've got x squared, xyz, and just x.
Okay.
Can we take any letters outside? What are we left with in the bracket?
4x, y, and z, because you can see it has a squared symbol, so you're going to have to add 4x, x, y, and z for that.
So we're looking for something that they all have in common. The x, the y, and z is only on the middle one.
X.
They all have in common x, and they all have only one x in common. So this one here is x times x. This one is x times y times z, and this one is just x. So the only one that all three of them have is just the x on its own.
So just add the x.
Perfect, yeah, so just the x can go outside because just the x is on all of them.
Would you add x to 12 because it's squared?
Yes, perfect. So on the 12, we also need an x because we only have one outside, so we need to make sure we have x squared. What about on the 15?
15, you have to put y and z.
Perfect, y and z.
And on the 5, you just leave it.
Yes, perfect. We just leave it because we already have the x outside. Okay, and the last step is to make sure we fill in the signs between them. So we need what goes between the 12 and the 15 and what goes between the 15.
Between the 12 and 15 will be subtract.
Yeah, subtract, good.
And between the 15 and 5 will be add.
Perfect. Exactly right. Okay, good. So that's everything for factorizing. How are you finding that?
It was good, yeah. I understood it. Because, once we done for the brackets.
So it's, really important to always double check your answer expanding out at the end. Okay, perfect. Great, so what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to something a little bit different. We're now going to be solving equations. Have you seen this at all before?
4w plus, no.
Okay, that's fine. We'll go through what we need to do together.
Wait,
so,
no, yeah, I think I know.
Don't worry, if you've not seen it, we can go through it. So.
Wait, let me just see. I think I know. W is equal to it would be a negative number.
How can we tell it's a negative number?
Because you can't add anything with 12 that makes 4. So it has to, which is positive. So you would have to subtract. Okay, I know. We'll do this. Subtract 4 by 12. Negative 12. 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 4, negative 2, negative 8.
Perfect, yeah, so our answer is negative 8. Great, so what we kind of worked out there is we said that our mystery number plus 12 gives us 4, and we needed to find that mystery number. So what we do is we say, okay, well, it's definitely going to be a negative number because we can't add anything bigger, because that would just make a bigger number than 12. So so then we work backwards from there. So actually, if we take that a little bit more kind of general, let's say we have an equation that looks like this. What we do is we take a step where we do the same thing on both sides. So on,
it will be 7.
Yeah, it will be 7. So on this side here, we want to get x on its own.
2. No.
So at the moment, we're taking away 2 from x. So to get rid of the take away 2, We need to add.
Yeah. Okay, we need to find the number. Add. So.
Yeah, so we need to add 2.
2.
And if we do it on one side of our equal sign, we need to make sure we do it on both sides of the equal sign.
Yeah. So 7, 4, and 7.
So 7 is correct. So the 5 plus 2 is 7. What if we have minus 2 plus 2? What happens if we have minus 2 plus 2?
0.
0. Exactly right. So on this side here, these two things cancel out. And we're just left with 7. Okay, so it's exactly kind of the same steps that you can kind of do in your head, but we can write it down. So when we get more complicated ones, we can follow this method and solve always for x. Okay? So it takes a little bit longer, but it will work a little bit for harder questions. Okay. I just want to go through one more example, just slightly off the sheet as well, before we go back to those. We'll go for 2 lots of x minus 4 is equal to 8. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try using that same kind of slower method again. So 2 lots of x minus 4 equals 8. So if we're going to try and rearrange this to get x on its own.
12 will be 12.
Yeah, so the answer is x equals 12. But let's try going through the steps.
Okay, so what I done is I added 4 with 8,
Yeah.
which made 12.
Yeah.
And then once you've done that, you would subtract 2, 12. And then
so not subtract 2. What are we doing to x here? What's the 2 doing to x?
what to subtract by?
What's going between the two of them?
Multiply.
Multiplying, yeah. So if we want to reverse multiplying, what's the opposite of multiplying?
Division.
Division, perfect. So what we need to do is we need to divide by 2.
Divide 2. Okay, so 2 will equal to 1. And 12 will
2 divided by 2 equals 1, so we have only one x.
And then 12 will become equals to 6.
Perfect. So 1x is equal to 6, or another way to say that is just x equals 6. Okay, perfect. So remember, whenever we do one of these steps, these kind of reversing steps, we need to make sure we do it on both sides of our equation.
Okay. So x will equal to 6. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, so in this example here, x will equal to 6. So we're going to try using those slightly longer method with all those steps to solve the next couple of ones, because I think they're a little bit trickier. So let's go for number B next. 2x plus 5 equals minus 11.
So x will be a negative number.
Yeah, x is definitely going to be a negative number. So let's try going through the steps. So 2x plus 5 equals minus 11. So what's the first thing we can get rid of?
The 5.
The plus 5. So how do we get rid of plus 5? What's the opposite of plus 5?
Subtract 5.
Perfect. So we're going to take away 5 on both sides.
6.
Okay, so then we have
5.
2x plus 5 minus 5 is 0. And then
11 will come into 6.
Not 6.
No, negative 6.
Remember, it's minus 11 minus 5.
Minus 6. Negative 6.
Not negative 6. In the right lines.
Oh, we're going to have to add. Okay, we'll add it. Negative 16.
Perfect. Negative 16. Great. Well done. Okay. What about this step here?
And then after we're going to divide them by negative 16.
Not by negative 16. So remember, we're just trying to get x on its own.
Divide them by 5.
Not by 5? So what's multiplying x at the moment?
Multiply.
So 2x is 2 times x.
Wait, okay. 8.
8. So x is going to be equal to, not 8,
-8.
-8. Great. So just to kind of show how we get there. So what we need to do is we need to say, okay, well, 2x means 2 times x. So remember, we always have this invisible multiplication sign in the middle there. So 2 times x, so dividing both sides by 2. Okay, so that's reversing multiplying by 2, we can do divide by 2. So our answer is going to be x equals -8.
Okay, next question. -5y and 2 equals 17. Okay, so what will make 17?
So try and have a go at using our method. So -5y plus 2, -5y plus 2 equals 17. Start by
22.
getting rid of the plus 2. How do we get rid of the plus 2?
Subtract it by 2.
Subtract it. Yeah, then let's subtract 2 on both sides.
Okay, so
what does that?
That will become -5 will become -7y.
So then the plus 2, this -2 is just -2. There's no y on that, so we can't take it away from the -5y. We just take it away from the plus 2. So if we do plus 2 minus 2, what happens? This
Plus 2 minus 2 will become 0.
Perfect. Yeah, so those two cancel with each other. So plus 2 minus 2 gives us 0. So on this left-hand side, we're just left with minus, whoops.
And then you'll have to subtract 2 by 5, -5. It will become -7.
So this side we're not, so we've already subtracted the minus 2 from here.
Okay.
So we subtracted the minus 2 from the plus 2.
Become 7. Okay.
It kind of just disappears.
So it will come next. We have to do how many? 17. So it will become wait, and 12.
So 17 minus 2.
17 minus 2 is 15.
15. Perfect. So first step was to just take away 2 on both sides. Okay. So now we have -5 lots of y equal to 15. So what are we doing to y? So remember what the aim is to find what y is. So we need to, yeah?
15. Will become 10.
No, so the y, what's happening to the y? Why is it not only just y at the moment? What's going on?
Because there's 5 at the next.
There's a -5, isn't there? And what's between these two symbols? These two things? What symbol?
Add,
What operation?
subtract.
Time.
Yeah, add times.
So -5 times y. So we always have this invisible multiplication. Yeah, perfect. So if we want to get y on its own, how can we get rid of this -5 part?
-5. You subtract it by 5.
Not subtract it. So we're being so we're multiplying it at the moment.
Add by 5.
No, add. So how do we reverse multiplication? What's the
Divide.
divide it? So if we divide it by -5, that gives us the opposite. So that will give us y on its own. So on this left-hand side, we have -5 times y divided by -5. And what happens if we multiply and then divide something by -5?
It will divide it. It will become 1.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly right. It becomes 1 because we multiply it by something and then we divide it by the same thing. So we're actually not doing anything, right? So if we share sweets with someone else and then take all our sweets back, then we still have all our sweets. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're left with just 1.
So y equals to 1.
So not to 1, what's going on the other side? So we need to make sure we're doing the same step on the other side. On this step, we decided we're going to divide by -5. So it's divide by -5 on the other side as well.
So divide 1 by...
So we've got 15 at the moment.
Divide 15 by